everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Ryan Waddups. I'm the Deputy Editor of Design at Gallery Magazine. And we are so excited to be at the Luxury Lounge at KBIS 2026 for what is sure to be a very illuminating conversation with a wonderful group of designers and industry leaders. Our topic today is Tactile Modernism, which will explore the rise of soft and eco brutalism in kitchen and bath design. But before we begin, I'd love to hand over the mic to Joe Barinka, the CEO of Kava Surfaces, which sponsored today's conversation, to kick off our introductions.
Thank you, Ryan. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Barinka, CEO of Kava Surfaces. We're boutique stone suppliers from Toronto, Canada, and we're very excited to be here at KBIS 2026. Please come by our booth, West 291, and see what we're all about.
And I'm Brian Brown. I'm a high-end designer from San Diego, California. And I'm happy to be here again.
My name is Lisa Koistra, and I am an interior designer as well, based out of Ontario in Canada. And we focus on high-end residential design across Canada. And yeah, I'm excited to be here too, with this awesome panel of men.
Well, thank you all. Just to set the scene a bit, I just want to do a quick explainer on brutalism and how it's showing up in residential design today. It really is having such a big moment in luxury design. But what started off as a bold architectural style defined by raw materials and strong monolithic forms is being reinterpreted in a much more livable way. And so to set the scene, brutalism took shape with Le Corbusier's use of béton brut, or raw concrete, most famously at the Unité de Habitation in Marseille. I hope I said that correctly. But the style really took off in post-World War II England. Cities needed rapid rebuilding, public housing, and civic infrastructure at scale. And brutalism aligned with those ambitions owing to its honesty in materials and a refusal to disguise construction through ornament. And so the approach soon spread globally and rapidly, shaping universities such as the Geisel Library at the University of California in San Diego, and cultural institutions such as my personal favorite, Marcel Breuer's former Whitney Museum, which is now the Sotheby's headquarters in New York City. But in interiors today, brutalism is showing up as sculptural stone and designs that feel grounded and confident, minus a bit of the severity of the architecture. In high-end kitchens and baths, that can translate to warmth and tactility and a look that balances minimalism with some more expressive flourishes. Soft brutalism, for example, it retains the style's monolithic presence, but tempers it with curves and texture. Eco-brutalism aligns with the style's material honesty and sustainability, wellness, and biophilia. And so to start the conversation, I'd love to pitch an icebreaker. Just a quick one. What's your favorite brutalist building or a brutalist-inspired space? I'd love to know if you have a first memory with that space and how it impacts the way that you design today.
Want me to go?
Absolutely.
Okay, so my favorite piece of brutalism architecture is actually in my hometown in San Diego. It's the Salk Institute. I think I was, 8 when I went there for the first time. It was a science field trip. Jonas Salk invented the polio vaccine. So it was kind of a, informative thing, but I was really stoked about the architecture. And if you don't know what brutalism is, you can pull out your phone, go to Brian Brown Studio on Instagram, and I posted pictures of the Salk Institute. It overlooks the Pacific Ocean. Like, the buildings line up and just frame it in this really beautiful way. Yeah.
I wish I knew you had it on your website. I would have checked it out before we got on here. Would have helped me out a little bit.
I actually saw it on Instagram.
Yeah. Beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
And it's like not hard brutalism. I think it's very soft and just frames nature. It's kind of a different take on it.
Yeah. For me, so I'm headed to Belgium next month, and I'm excited because I get to see this architecture finally. So I don't have a memory yet, but there's this one architect, Axel Vervoort. He focuses on like real raw brutalism architecture, but he also does a little bit of like a juxtaposition aspect to it, where the exterior is the kind of these raw concrete materials, but then the inside he brings more of like an eco brutalism into it, where there's more raw materials, more sustainable materials, but just the overall warmth, kind of moving having that appreciation for that exterior brutalism, but then on the inside making it kind of warm and cozy. So he does a mix of this. He actually works with his son a lot. So that would be my architect that I love.
I'm going to go back to my Italian roots because I was born and raised there. I think probably one of my favorites would be, there's a place called La Lavatrice, which means washing machine, and it's in Genoa, Italy. And the whole building is basically made out of concrete, and it looks like these big rings that looks like a washing machine. So I would say that's my favorite.
Love it.
That was great, Lisa.
Love it.
All very different, but all very wonderful spaces. So let's dive into the conversation. Given brutalism's weighty history, it feels like a bold choice for luxury design today, in this moment. Why do you think it's resonating so strongly in interiors right now?
Yeah.
I think long-lasting.
Oh, you want me? Okay. I would say it's resonating more and more now because people are focusing a lot on wellness and sustainability. And when we're looking at, our interiors, we want to move away from the kind of more of, furniture pieces, interior pieces that don't have the longevity that clients are looking for. I would say more and more now, people are looking at their spaces and they want them to be warm. They want the longevity of it. They want the natural materials. They want to invest in these pieces. So I think that the style of brutalism is changing in certain ways in the interiors with more of kind of an eco approach to it, where we're looking at spaces that are more warm and have that longevity. So that would be my take on it.
And my take would be a psychological one. So brutalism came in after World War II, and it was mostly institutional. So they were massive buildings to give strength back to systems that had crumbled. So the way I see it is that, I do great big kitchen islands, really just like substantial pieces throughout the interior. And I think that just, those big pieces kind of ground you and make you feel safe.
Yeah, agreed.
I think based on what you guys both said, I think it's, post World War II, all the buildings were made with these materials for sustainability. And I think that's what people want today. They want something that lasts long.
Yeah.
The neutral tones and the soft tones are definitely coming in. And those are the colors that we see today. So that's probably, for me, is sustainability for sure.
I'd love if each of you could walk me through some of your experiences implementing brutalist language in your interiors, while keeping sustainability and longevity in mind.
Okay. So I use the Salk Institute all the time as my inspiration. Wait, what was the question again?
Implementing
it.
Incorporating.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll do like a really long back countertop for the kitchen, and then I flank it with a really large built-in refrigerator freezer, and on the other side I will do a large pantry that matches the weight of the other side, so it's balanced. And then another thing that happens at the Salk Institute is on the equinoxes, the sun sets on the central plaza, and it sets right in this channel of water. So I take that as inspiration as well. So I will typically do the cooktop on the back counter, and that represents like the sun setting, and then the sink on the island. So that represents the water flowing in.
For us, I would say that we look at it more, once again, back into that eco side of things, where we're looking at materials that are obviously going to last, but we love to do a few different features. I would say with islands, we love cladding. Even like we're doing a project right now where we're cladding the door fronts in stone, so it has that beautiful, more sculptural feel to it. Also adding like beautiful big like pillars, let's say in the entry in stone. We work a lot with curves as well, just to kind of like the movement throughout a space, how the light flows, and also I would just say the overall like actual texture of the materials. So something that's a little less like glossy, more matte or honed finishes are beautiful too. So I think it's just the overall like vibe and appeal of the actual materials that we really focus on and the longevity of it.
I mean, we don't do projects ourselves, but we work with great architect and designers like Brian and Lisa, and we basically make their design come to life. We pointed out on the matte finish and the home finish or the leather finish, any texture finish. It's very popular right now, and a lot of the warm tone colors, like the travertine, they're definitely back in. So I'm just here to make their design come true.
And more on the longevity part, really select things that are not on trend.
Yeah.
Leathered quartzite, I feel, will never go out of style. So I know it's really popular right now, but that one for me will never go out of style. So picking really classic, tones and materials will make the kitchen or bath last a lot longer. Mixing warm and cool instead of going with just a warm trend or a cool trend, mix them together and it'll last a lot longer.
Yeah, I feel like for so long we were in this kind of very, I don't want to say sterile, but everything was very neutral. We're definitely seeing more of that now. Like those raw materials, natural tones, warmth. We're seeing that a lot now.
I think we're past the black and white stage.
Yes, definitely.
We're more into the warm tones are coming back.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a little bit of color, but softness, very
But
soft.
some black contrast is great.
Black contrast is always great.
Black's always great.
Black is black. It's like a black suit.
I think we're
never goes out of style.
What steps do you take, when you're designing a counter or an island in a kitchen to make sure that it really is the hero of a room?
For me, I would say it's all in the details. So if it's your counter profiles, really mixing those up instead of going with a standard, if it's a bevel, whatever it may be. There's so many different amazing profiles you can do now, different reveal lines, and making it a little bit more sculptural, like we talked about. Add backlighting. Also just the overall touch and feel of it, the curvature, really understanding how the space works and how you move around a kitchen. So integration too of sinks. I feel like there's many ways to make it a feature, and I think it's just all in the details of like really making it stand out.
And for me, it's just making it huge. You can't miss it. But I'm more of a simple, clean line kind of guy. So I think I've only done one island that has a curve to it. Every designer is different, so mine are just really massive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's clearance. People can walk around it, but it just is, I want to say imposing, but because it is so long, that line creates like a horizon line in the mind. So it's actually quite calming, even though it's pretty big.
Joe?
Well, I don't design, but I do find the perfect stones for you guys. And then I think for me, it's like sometimes, designers, they have projects and they come to, they want to create something. Like you said, you want something really large. I just go out there and find what you need to maximize what you want to your design. So that's my contribution to it.
Or impactful stone. Right?
We give a lot of options
that.
sometimes, right? Like sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I saw this." The best is when they say, "I saw this on the internet. I want this." Well, Mother Nature doesn't work that way, but definitely go out to the quarries. We travel all over the world. We go right to the quarries. We pick exactly what we want, or something close to it, or same family, or same palette. We definitely try to accommodate what you want and find what you want for sure.
Do you find that your clients are asking for brutalist forms outright, or do you feel like you're ushering them in that direction?
No one asks for it.
I think a lot of people don't know what it like. know what it is,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of people don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
The soft tones would probably fall into that, right? Soft colors.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, subconsciously.
I think even that
They're-
name brutal is in the title. I don't think people really will respond well to that,
Yeah.
for their home.
Be a hard sell.
So, yeah, so I just don't say anything. I do it, and then they're like, this is beautiful. And then you're like, oh, it's kind of brutalist. They're like, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think subconsciously people are asking for it and they don't know in certain ways, right? Like we're talking about longevity, spaces that are lived in, the texture of materials. I think they're asking for certain things and it's going to that, but they're not asking for brutalism.
Well, I didn't know what the brutalism word was until like 3 minutes ago. I didn't know that. Yes, I think the finishes is subconsciously what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
They want that. They don't know what it's called. But that's really what it is.
Yeah, agreed.
And kitchen and bath spaces, I mean, they're known for their polish and their lightness. Do you find that it's difficult to persuade clients to embrace a more brutal aesthetic in those rooms?
No, I don't think so, because the materials you select can make it feel very harsh and imposing, or it can make it feel very soft and light. We're dealing with kind of massive forms, but if you take, let's say, a leathered quartzite again, a light color, that feels very soft, and you can mix that with a light wood as well. I'll go to the Salk Institute again. There is teak on the outside of it that is not treated, so it's weathered and it just gives a soft organic quality to that building, and you can implement that with your cabinetry.
Joe, do you find that this look is easier to sell?
I think the soft tones are definitely easier to sell. Like you said, the light quartzites with the texture on it. Textures are being used more and more every day. The polished look or the flashy look is kind of starting to go away. People want more subtle, and I think the honed finish or the matte finish, whichever terminology you want to use, it gives more of a subtleness, and it also gives more of a warmth to the home.
Yeah. It's funny, we're talking about more glossy or shiny, stones, and I think it goes back to luxury too. Like, what is luxury now? Because we talked about luxury doesn't have to be the shiny, very impactful in a certain way. It can also be very calm, and it is more about people are looking at luxury more about their health and wellness in their home and how their home resonates with them on a day-to-day, right? So, and that also goes back to, once again, the eco-brutalism aspect of things, of the longevity of a space.
It's actually if you go back 10 years ago, matte was barely used, very, very little. Everything was polished.
Yeah.
Now,
Not in my house.
Not in your house. But I'm saying the overall was mostly the polished look. Now it's more of the matte finish.
Yeah.
So that actually goes back to people are using the brutalism without even knowing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to say it's also not nice to mix both finishes. I would say more and more now, it's a little bit more of a calming feeling that you're getting in these spaces with the mix of textures as well.
Yeah, it makes me think that, I've heard this from a few designers now, that luxury is more of a state of mind as opposed to one, definitive look, gilded, over-the-top,
Yeah.
maximalist interiors versus, something more pristine and streamlined that puts you at ease and, cuts out the noise.
Yeah, I think luxury is different for each person, right? And each client, like what really is important for them and what are we integrating into their homes.
Sometimes people come in with one idea and they leave with another because you actually captured what they wanted.
Yeah.
As you meet people, we get people all the time. They come into the showroom and we'll start talking to them together with their designers, and they came in with one vision, they left with a completely different vision, just because you kind of pick what they like and then you kind of put it together for them. So.
Yeah.
Maybe they embraced brutalism once they learned what it was.
Yeah, you're right.
So I wanted to ask about project photography, I mean, obviously, like, brutalist spaces photograph quite beautifully, but at the end of the day, these spaces are also quite tactile when in use. What are some ways that you design brutalist-inspired spaces, beyond the photograph? So, they're designed for how the material feels versus just how it looks.
Well, even functionality. So in those imposing kitchen islands that I do, I work with a lot of families and a lot of people that entertain. So we'll do 2 dishwashers on either side of the sink. So that's a way you can make it functional. And then, softening the look with, like if you have an open concept, doing a really low, kind of like plush sofa. That's just slightly lower than the island, so it creates some depth and interest, and just making it comfortable. Yeah.
I would say lighting is huge too, especially in these spaces, because when we're layering different textures and elements, like you were even saying, like you have a sofa and then you have the plushness of that. If there's certain wall materials that maybe like a micro cement, where the lighting is so impactful in these spaces because you get so much depth out of everything. So lighting is huge. And then I think just the overall, like I would go back to the curvature, get like curvature lighting, and then the actual tactile use of material and what the actual finish is. Also goes way beyond photography as well, right? It's how it goes back to how they're living and the things that we're seeing more and more of with each client.
That's a good question.
Joe, did you have anything to add?
I think they covered it. Yeah, but you guys did cover it. I go back to the finishes. Like right now, you run back to a photography or not. Like the finish will definitely change how that looks as well. But they're good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, what role do you think that finishes play in humanizing these more monolithic forms?
Going back to the leathered finishes, that makes it more human-centric. Things that things that are soft to the touch. Even your hardware, using something that has a slight roundness to the back of the handle. If you're going to use something really blunt and square, if it's rounded in the back, it's softer to use. It may have that really sharp look, but the feeling is different when you use it.
Yeah, and even what's on our floors, right? Like that's something that you experience every day walking around your home. So it's a biophilic approach of maybe we want to see something that has a little bit more texture or naturality about it. If it's a wood product or if the stone has texture. So there's different ways too that we can play on that biophilic approach of how it feels as well.
I think you touched a good point earlier about the curves or your edge profiles. I think now we're leaning more towards the round, anything curved. Even going back to the Roman OG edges, some of you guys might know what it is or not, but the countertops now, the square is kind of taking a seat back and all round is coming. Not for
house.
you.
We're designing per client. One client might like that, one might not. I think it's just about us educating ourselves on these products as well and the longevity of them, and then giving them the options, right? So some people like squares, some people like curves. It's a mix, right? It's also nice to mix them too.
So the topic of education kind of brings me into my next question. What mistakes do you see most often when designers attempt, monolithic forms or brutalist-inspired kitchen and bath spaces without fully understanding material behavior or environmental performance?
I think this stems off of probably I got ahead of myself, what I just said, but I think it's, as designers, like there's so many options out there. There's so many things, and it can be so overwhelming when doing a home, especially for our clients. So really doing the research to understand the product, how it's going to last, if it needs to be treated, so that we're giving the right options to them. Because, if you're just creating a space that has the brutalism elements to it, maybe the client doesn't understand that this natural stone has to be treated, or there's things that need to be kept up on. because you're investing in these pieces for longevity. So we also need to think about that. And I would say that's one thing. And then maybe that sometimes it could come off a little bit cold. So that's maybe bringing in a little bit more of the different brutalism elements to it.
Yeah, I would say making sure that your textures and your dark and light tones and wood tones are balanced together. I feel like, again, if you go too warm or you go too cool, it's not going to stand the test of time, but also it's going to look flat. It'll look flat when you walk into the environment. It'll look flat in your photos. So using a warm and cool tone next to each other is not a bad thing. I even wear black and navy together. It's fine. So yeah, I would just say really utilizing your palette to the best of your ability, and using contrast, using warmth, and using cool.
Yeah.
I think a mood board, like we were saying, those are the best things to see what colors go well together. And sometimes you can mix them up and they come out beautiful with the different texture. For, like you say, you mix it. Sometimes you can mix your island or your backsplash or your kitchen counters or with the floor. Like I've seen floors that are more textured than they used to be. Mm-hmm. They're getting more and more into that.
Yeah.
I would also, sorry, I forgot this point. I would go back to space planning. Space planning is your friend. You want everything to be functional. And I think sometimes when you're designing for brutalism, you're just trying to get that massive form, but maybe it doesn't totally work for that space. So how am I going to tweak this and maybe use another form somewhere else that's big to kind of, make up for how I had to shrink the island or, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
And so looking ahead, what materials or fabrication techniques do you think will most radically shift how some brutalist offshoots like soft brutalism and eco brutalism might continue to show up in domestic settings?
Joe, I think that's...
the textures.
Yeah.
More and more of the textures, right? The more those come out, the more it's going to lean towards that. Even though we're not maybe... The design might not say, that's what I want, or the client might not say, that's what I want, but it really leads to that. So textures has a lot to do with it. And a lot of the older, all stone is old, but the older colors, like the travertines, they're all coming back. Those light colors, neutral colors, they're all coming back. Maybe not in Brian's house, but...
Travertine's neutral. Travertine is at the Salk Institute. It's fine.
Yeah.
And it's been there since 1960, so, and it still looks great. Love travertine.
Amazing.
Well, at this point, should we turn it over to an audience Q&A?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Questions?
Any questions? Now you, Andrea.
Hi, I'm Rachel. So I was wondering, so obviously brutalism and minimalism have different intellectual histories and philosophies backing them. But at the same time, minimalism has been a pretty big buzzword in design going back 10 years. And I'm curious about what you guys think in a place like KBIS, what distinguishes brutalism from minimalism?
Wow, that was a question.
Question, Rachel.
What?
Well, I mean, when it comes to, for me, I would say minimalism doesn't have to be also so raw, right? When you think of brutalism, you think of the simplicity of the materials that can be used. Minimalism, I find, can also be looked at in a different way. Like when we design spaces, it can be organization. Like everything has a spot, right? It's how we every detail, every square inch of a home. We're designing it so that clients don't feel overwhelmed. It also goes back to that feeling of wellness, where we're designing these spaces that feel minimal in certain ways, so that everything can just feel organized, minimal. But it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't have to be based off of just that raw material. I don't know your take on it.
I had to think about this one for a while. So I would say in minimalism, countertops are very sleek. So at KBIS, there are so many porcelain options, right? So I would say that porcelain would be a good thing for a minimalist kitchen or bath. And you can also use it for the front of your cabinetry as well. And that will give you a very minimalist look if it all matches together. And also, just using the edge of the porcelain and not necessarily doing an edge detail will also keep that minimalist look. But if you're going to something, I'll say it again, leathered quartzite, you can have that straight line that you have with the porcelain, but there's a natural texture to it. There's a depth to it. I feel like there's more depth in brutalism than there is in minimalism. It's not to say that you can't have depth in texture in minimalism. It's just dialed back a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Oh, and finishes. So I would say you could have the same very, sleek faucet, right? And the minimalist would have just a finish that's, chrome or black or whatever you want. But in brutalism, you can do something that is a living finish. So it will patina over time and, kind of give that raw quality that minimalism doesn't really have. That was a really good question.
That is a good question.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think I would probably say, like Brian was saying, the edging. If you go, and I'm going to refer to natural stone, but if you go with a natural stone, you go at 3/4, or 3 cm. You guys use here in the U.S., right? 3 cm. Mm-hmm. Polish, no edging on it. And if you go at a matte finish, you bring in the brutalism because it does. Natural stone, especially marble, does have a patina over time, and it'll just wear and tear at its own pace.
Yeah.
Does that answer? I'm sure.
Did any other members of the audience have questions for the panelists?
Don't put your hands all up once, okay?
All right. Well, if there are no further questions, just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. It was a great conversation about monolithic forms and soft brutalism, eco brutalism, all things brutalism.
Could we turn it back to the audience?
Oh, yeah.
And ask, does anybody do brutalism in their design or have incorporated it?
Great question.
You want to talk about it? Wait, yeah.
Go for it, Andrew. Go for it.
Right over here.
I've been a lover of brutalism for so many years, and I do like edgy design. But what I find, for me, brutalism has always been represented by more raw materials and a little rougher, like a textured stone wall. They have these great new. We were looking at that at the one of the last showrooms we went to, and then they have these new stones, and it's like you just carved a piece of stone out of the mine and thrown it on your wall, right? So
we have it at our booth.
Yes,
Come and
you
take a
do.
Look at it. We
Yes,
do, our back wall.
So what I love about your booth and how that shows the brutalism is all the different textures and the layering and utilizing the stone even in those vertical wall dividers and stuff. And it's thinking outside of the box in that sense. I think that even to say brutalism to a client just freaks them right out, right? So I think that's something that's hard to do. But I think that as designers or architects, but mostly designers, I think it's about being intrigued enough about the raw metals and the rough stones and the oversized, the large scale, keeping it in space planning. But I just say now, I do stone like it's wallpaper. And I think everyone should do stone like it's wallpaper. I think it's the new trend. I think that it shows a different level of luxury, and again, it lasts forever, right? But it only lasts forever if you have a designer who makes the right selections. Ultimately, all of this and all of design, it comes down to the right selections. Yeah.
For sure.
Anybody else use brutalism? Just a show of hands. You don't have to talk. Yeah? Okay.
Just knowing that so many clients don't even know how to articulate it. If coming back to the lovely panel, if you had your dream client where there was no limitations, if you guys can just maybe describe what your dream brutalistic space would be with brutalism, because sometimes we are limited to what clients dictate, but in terms of just inspo, or if you had like a dream space featuring brutalism, what would it be?
I can actually answer that. I actually have this really amazing client who just lets me do what I want. I did one of his places a few years ago, and he was like, I just trust you. You're the professional, do it. And we did it the way we wanted to do it, and it was so stunning, and he was so happy. So we're going more brutalist in this one. So it's another oceanside property, and there's a central staircase. It's 4 stories tall, and it curves all the way up. So I'm not a kind of curvy designer. I think it's beautiful. I think it's stunning, but I was like, how can I make that harder? So there's this corridor between the entry and the living room. And it's just like kind of weird dead space that like you could put a table there, whatever, that's, done, whatever. So instead, we're cladding that whole opening in raw black steel. So just making that like really like just severe moment, right? With that soft curving staircase. And then the staircase, the handrail will be in a black wood that curves along with it. So the outer part is white, the inside is black. And then taking it a step further, we're doing the first 3 steps in 3 different colored stones. They're all neutral colors of dark, light, medium. And then this guy is just great. So his kitchen is brutalist, his fireplace is brutalist. And when we presented it to him, and there are some renderings on Instagram, he was like, that's my house? And I was like, yeah, that's your house. He's like, that's fucking cool. I was like, yes! That was the best.
Yeah, we're also designing an awesome property right now, and it does have a lot of brutalism aspects about it. I would say we are incorporating so many amazing natural materials in this space. We actually, a couple of the stairs at the end of our staircase too is also going to be like a marble. And then these amazing like marble pillars and like wood ceilings and micro cements, and I think it's just like as much raw, amazing natural materials you can get into a space. It's just like so textural and amazing. We're also putting a tree in the middle of this house, which is just such a cool element. So yeah, I'm kind of designing one right now that is pretty neat.
They're my favorite clients. The more stone I hear, the more I like it.
Did we have any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you learned something new. Thank you so much to our panelists for their insight, and especially Kava Surfaces, the sponsor of today's conversation.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And I hope you have a great rest of
Ryan.
show.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.